Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into a truly fascinating topic, sociality, the foundation of human development and culture. And I want to be super clear right up front. This content is based on the original Hindi literature by Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya ji. Specifically, we're exploring a summary of his profound work which translates to "One cannot live alone." It's a brilliant text that fundamentally questions how we exist in the world. So we're going to trace his magnificent journey of human existence, starting all the way from our primal individual origins, right up to the ultimate goal of profound spiritual unity. Let's get right into it.
To really understand our true nature, we have to start with one massive, foundational truth. Quote, "One cannot live alone," unquote. I mean, it sounds simple enough, right? But the depth of this idea is staggering. Think of it like a giant puzzle. An isolated piece doesn't really show the big picture. Just as the sunrise absolutely shatters the darkness, the concept of unity is what truly birthed human progress. Our very existence, our day-to-day survival, and our ongoing evolution depend entirely on our sociality. Because ultimately, isolation is the end of evolution, while unity is its true beginning.
Okay, let's jump into Section 1, the root of culture, sociality, moving from wild origins to human civilization. Now, have you ever stopped to wonder why wild animals in the primitive age remained exactly as they were, just stagnating for millennia, while humanity progressed at this astonishingly rapid pace? We didn't suddenly grow sharper claws, we didn't get thicker fur, we definitely didn't physically overpower nature all by ourselves. Our true evolutionary leap happened somewhere else entirely.
And here is a really crucial distinction. Yes, human thoughtfulness and intellect certainly played a role in our evolution. We figured out how to use tools, we made fires. But let's be real. Intellect alone didn't build cities. Intellect all by itself didn't create culture or art or science. The true credit for civilization goes entirely to our innate drive for cooperation. Quote, "the power of collective living," unquote. Thoughtfulness might have sparked the progress, but it was social cooperation that actually built civilization.
To put that into perspective, let's look at how different we are from the rest of the animal kingdom. In the animal world, offspring become self-sufficient incredibly quickly. Often, they're walking within hours, and they pretty much forget their parents shortly after. Humans, on the other hand, we spend nearly 20 years in a state of dependency. At first glance, that sounds like a major vulnerability out in the wild, but actually, scratch that. It's our biggest superpower. That long dependency forces us to stick together. It weaves these intricate long-term bonds of love, family, and eventually a highly complex society. Our true strength isn't some kind of premature independence. It's our deep, enduring connections.
So let's move to Section 2, individual talent and collective duty. The illusion of the isolated genius. We absolutely love the myth of the self-made, solitary genius, the lone wolf. But the hard truth is, an individual simply cannot live, let alone develop their full potential, in total isolation. Your personality, your skills, your very identity, they are all formed and given meaning only within the context of a society.
To make this a bit more concrete, let's think about what the text calls, quote, "the isolated expert," unquote. Imagine an incredibly talented football player. We're talking about someone so physically gifted they can juggle the ball on their feet for literally hours without letting it touch the ground. But what happens if you put them in an actual match and they flat out refuse to pass the ball? What if they just cannot coordinate with the rest of the team? Their individual talent becomes completely useless. They fail the team. Talent without teamwork is a wasted gift. An individual's greatness can only truly be realized when it serves and synchronizes with the collective.
And this leads us to a highly critical question that I genuinely want you to think about. Quote, "Can any society survive in the absence of collective responsibility?" Unquote. It is so easy to just sit back and enjoy the fruits of society. But what happens when the crucial duties that actually maintain that society are evaded? What happens when everyone just assumes that someone else is going to step up and take care of the hard work? The stark reality is, a society crumbles when duty is assumed by others.
Well, let me share a really profound historical anecdote from ancient Buddhist literature that hits the nail on the head here. Once, a king organized this massive religious ceremony. He asked every single citizen to pour just one pot of pure milk into a huge covered vat outside the city. Pretty simple, right? But under the cover of night, one villager thought, hey, if I pour a pot of water instead of milk into this giant vat, literally no one will notice amidst all the milk. Well, the next morning, the king uncovers the vat, and guess what? It was entirely filled with water. Why? Because every single citizen had the exact same selfish thought. They all assumed someone else would fulfill the duty.
So the takeaway is crystal clear. When everyone shirks responsibility, the collective well literally runs dry.
Which brings us to Section 3, the debt of civilization and gratitude, recognizing the gifts of our ancestors. It's time to shift to the moral layer of our narrative here. We often go about our daily lives feeling like we're entirely self-sufficient, but the truth is, our very survival and literally every modern convenience we enjoy are monumental gifts from the society that came before us.
Think about the 15th century when the printing press was invented. The inventor didn't just build it so he could print a single book for himself. Or the 18th century steam engine. It wasn't built for a solitary commute. And just think of all the modern medical and technological conveniences we enjoy right now. The great creators, the innovators, and the sages of the past poured their entire life forces into discoveries aimed at the collective good. We owe an immense, unpayable debt to historical innovators who thought way beyond themselves. We are literally standing on the shoulders of selfless creators.
So, if we accept that we have this huge debt, what do we call someone who completely ignores it? This brings us to the concept of anti-sociality, and we define this as, quote, prioritizing personal selfishness over social welfare, unquote. It's not just about committing crimes. If you are selfishly consuming the incredible fruits of society, like public health, education, wealth, infrastructure, without any intention of repaying that debt or contributing back to the collective, well, that is deeply concerning. Because extracting from society without giving back is true anti-sociality. It's a path that leads directly to moral and spiritual decay.
Let's dive into Section 4, Journey from Selfishness to Altruism, expanding the boundaries of the self. Because here's the secret. Extreme self-interest doesn't actually make you happy. The literature points out that narrow selfishness only breeds inner turmoil, anxiety, and ultimately societal corruption. To find lasting peace, we literally have to expand our definition of self to include others.
This brings us to a deeply powerful instruction for how to live. Quote, fulfilling social interests alongside personal ones, unquote. Now, this doesn't mean you have to abandon your own life or your own ambitions, not at all. Rather, it emphasizes that true human glory is achieved when your personal goals perfectly align with societal welfare. It's about letting your personal success radiate outwards, illuminating the lives of everybody around you.
And now we reach the absolute spiritual climax of our explainer. Section 5, the spiritual view. The entire universe is one family. This is where we elevate the concept of family from merely biological relatives to an all-encompassing universal truth. When we look up at the vastness of creation, we have to realize that our social duty isn't just to our street or our city or even our country, it's to the cosmos itself.
To truly internalize this, consider this profound truth. Quote, all souls originate from one supreme soul. Unquote. This is the ultimate equalizer. Because we are all children of one supreme soul, every single living being is intrinsically interconnected. We aren't just isolated entities fighting for scraps, we are brilliantly connected by a divine thread. Recognizing this spiritual unity is absolutely the key to finding ultimate inner peace.
This realization changes the whole shebang. The text reveals that this is, in fact, quote, the highest spiritual pursuit, unquote. Treating the world with the exact same familial love you show to your own flesh and blood isn't just a moral obligation. It yields a profound joy and an immense spiritual satisfaction that narrow selfishness can simply never provide. Just imagine moving through the world not as a stranger in a competitive arena, but as a family member walking through your own home. That is what ultimate liberation feels like.
All right, let's bring all these powerful insights together into our summary. Number 1, human culture and survival are entirely rooted in social cooperation. Number 2, your individual talent is only meaningful when it's harmonized with the collective. Number 3, never ever forget the massive intergenerational debt we owe to society for our modern lives. Number 4, remaining trapped in selfishness will only create inner turmoil, whereas altruism brings lasting peace. And finally, number 5, the highest truth is that the entire universe is one spiritual family. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. If everything you are and everything you have was given to you by the collective, how will you choose to repay that debt to society starting today? Thank you so much for exploring these profound concepts with me in this explainer.